Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 15th of December. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, okay, we saw a decline on Friday, and we've been seeing basically after this first move up, we've been seeing a very spiky move. This one made a marginal lower low. I've got a similar thing on Bitcoin today, which has actually broken down from very slightly, but nonetheless definitely from the flag that's forming there, and a little level top has broken down there too. It hasn't followed through yet, and this hasn't followed through yet. But here I've got a little level top on ES, which has broken down, and we could be forming a slightly larger head and shoulders here. So in terms of sell signals, I think we had the tail end of one on NQ. That's now made the full target. We had one brewing on RTY that made target, and a little 60-minute buy signal has actually since fixed at the low. YM, we didn't have anything. We did have sell signals fixed on both DAX and STX on Friday morning, and both of those have made the possible near miss target. In terms of support breaks, no trendline breaks on DAX or ASTX. We've got on RTY, we've seen a slight break of this trend line, but it's only a two-touch trend line, so we will see how that goes. Wouldn't surprise me if we went back up and retested the highs. And as far as I'm concerned, we are still owed a couple of high retests on NQ and ES, and we haven't seen those yet. NQ has actually retraced a significant amount of this move up here. This has been the weakest of the indices, and this is one of the reasons we're seeing a spiky rise here. The market's losing confidence in NASDAQ and AI. And with some reason, and this is no longer leading the market, it's trailing it. So nonetheless, we've got the head and shoulders fell across the board, and that I'm looking for all-time highs across the board, and we've seen those new all-time highs on DIA and IWM, and we haven't yet seen it on SPX and QQQ. I'm still waiting for those, and I'm still leaning towards seeing those in the run-up to Christmas. Also, I'm a bit skeptical about seeing any serious significant decline. I mean, this could just about be managed. So getting down here into this 6760 to 6787 range, but I'm skeptical about anything more. We do have, on the bigger picture, still some negative divergence. And looking at the hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the hourly RSI 14 for SPX, and if we're going to eliminate the current negative divergence, which it looks as though we might, then we're going to need to go down further to do that. Looking at Qs, we've still got a RSI 14 sell signal, but that's now reached the possible near miss target. We're also testing significant support at the daily middle band and the 50-day MA, which is a very obvious backtest target and a very obvious area to find support. Looking at DIA, we had a sell signal, but we lost the divergence for it on the last move up. We'll see how that goes, but we've already obviously made a new all-time high on that, and the same on IWM, where on the hourly chart we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fix. That's really got absolutely no worse so far, just because this has been the strongest. So we're barely below the 50 level on the hourly chart. So is there a setup here where we could see a significant further decline? Yes, I've got a pattern for it. It's not looking too bad. We've got potential in terms of the 15-minute chart, although not on IWM or DIA particularly, but we've got a possible head and shoulders here or a double top that's already broken down. On Qs, little double top which has already made target is the obvious pattern here. So it's a little thin. But there is a case for going down a bit further, but I'm skeptical about that getting too far before Christmas. I'm not expecting to see any big declines before Christmas. That would be unusual. Unheard of? Probably not. Possible? Definitely. Likely? I'm thinking no. So we shall see. All right, let's have a look at the other indices here, and we've got DAX and ESTX. DAX has been holding nicely over the daily middle band, has reached the daily upper band, and we've now managed to get over the 24.4k area, and that means that the last of the head and shoulders, because this was it was SPX, QQQ, Dia, IWM, and DAX, which had head and shoulders which broke down, and this is the last one to fail. This also has a target up at a retest of the high, so I'm leaning towards seeing that as well. Nikkei, we had a head and shoulders forming, but it never broke down, so there's no fail level. If there was, we'd have gone over the right shoulder high here at 50.6k. Again, I'm wondering about a retest of the high here, and I think that is doable in the time available here, but I don't actually have a formal target, so we shall see. All right, DX. We've got a possible inflection point here. I've got this nice looking little falling megaphone. This could be this is an opportunity for this double top to potentially fail, not reach target in the 97.37 to 97.47 area, and reject back up to the high. I do have some indications from the other currencies that might do that, although not really on the hourly charts, more on the daily. Obviously, the bear flag that was forming here on EURUSD has broken up. GBP USD, got a possible rising wedge here, but it's not a huge amount to hang your hat on. We've got a little 60-minute buy signal fixed on here on USD JPY, and we've got a potential little double bottom here too. This could head up to the high, although we've got a very nice channel here, and I'm wondering whether we're going to see instead a move down to the low, which would fit with the dollar going down. USD CAD. Possible little amount of bottoming action here, but again, not an awful lot. And it's at this stage, this 60-minute buy signal fixed long enough ago that it's no longer particularly impressive. We'll see how that goes. All right, looking at ZB. ZB, I've got a pretty nice looking falling wedge here. Now we've got, on the bigger picture, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 112.04 area, but the falling wedge is actually pretty nice. Watching to see if that can deliver a rally here. Not seeing much reason to think that will happen. Looking at the bigger picture, all of the bigger picture bonds charts are, and the RTH charts are basically looking down on bonds and up on yields. Looking at ZN, we've got a double top here, which is obviously broken down with a target in the 110.17 to 110.12 area. Again, not seeing an awful lot of reason to think that this is going to reverse back up. And certainly, I haven't used this as my chart of the day today. But this is something I've been talking about on numerous occasions. And this chart here, this isn't today's chart of the day, but it's going to be sometime this week. And this is something I was talking about in the post last November. I was talking about the fact that one reason the Fed shouldn't really be cutting interest rates was because I didn't think it was going to make any difference to yields. And that's because the Fed doesn't actually control interest rates. There's a popular perception that they do, but actually they don't. And cutting interest rates from 5 to 4.5, while yields actually went up, was just going to demonstrate that the Fed doesn't control interest rates, because interest rates are really based on bond yields, 10-year yields, 30-year yields, and these have gone up, and 10-year yields have gone up less than 30-year yields, and you can see this is when the cycle started, September 2024, with longer term yields on the 10-year, in about the 4 to 4.25 area, and since then it has gone up significantly. So we will see. But this is the Fed funds rate going down from 5.5 to 3.6, and sorry, this is the yield going up from down to 4, and this is the yield going up from about 4.05 up to 4.15, and that is, as I said, the 30-year yield has gone up more. All borrowing is based on those two yields, including the American government's borrowing. So when Trump's talking about thinking about putting his own guy and getting interest rates down to next year, that's not likely to change bond yields. That in turn will mean that it won't have any impact on the money, on the rate at which the government borrows money, which is the principal thing he is wanting to change. So it's a waste of time. But this is a good illustration of that, and I'll be posting that as a chart of the day sometime this week. All right, looking at CL. CL, I'm still wondering about a retest of this low here at 56. I've got to say, this is starting to look, on HO, we've got an IHS which broke up, and actually that's almost failed. And we're looking at potentially a full retracement of this rally up from the October low. We're looking at the same on RBOB, which actually on the bigger picture continuous charts is already at new lows, but looks like on this chart a retest of this low here. Obviously, the oils are rolling into the February contract at the end of this week. NG. Possible little double bottom setup, 60-minute buy signal fixed. We've broken up from this very narrow channel. This isn't something where I'm thinking we'd do a full reversal, but a channel this tight and this steep isn't sustainable. So if we are going to continue the decline, I expect to see a rally and then a continuation down. Looking at GC, needs to get over this trend line here with confidence, but we're in range really of a high retest. We could see that. We are seeing some negative divergence here on a number of the precious metals on the daily charts and on GDX and GDXJ, but it's something where it needs to get through the resistance, and this is a potential inflection point. I'm not seeing an awful lot to suggest this is actually going to reverse. I do have a very nice looking rising wedge here on SI, and that increases the chances that we're going to see some retracement here. Palladium, we've seen a nice break up. We've got over this high here, and this may be the part of a much larger breakup. Platinum, I've got a big IHS which has broken up with the target quite a lot higher, and we've now made higher highs. 6-minute sell signal is fixed. HG, we had a little level top breakdown here, and that's almost entirely rejected back up to the high. Spiky action. We've been seeing a lot of that this week. All right, looking at KC. KC is well below the monthly pivot. Bigger picture, I'm thinking this is downtrend. I'm thinking we could head down to main double top support, which is actually down here in about the 334 area. Looking at sugar, we've got possible bear flag forming. I'd quite like to see this target made at the double bottom target in the 15.43 area. It may be that won't happen, but we've got pretty close to it, and I'm thinking it may well make that full target. But overall, this looks like a bear flag forming, and the bigger picture is likely down. CC. Bigger picture is also likely down. We've got a pretty nice looking rising megaphone here. This could be a bear flag. So we'll see. 6-minute sell signal has now reached the possible near miss target. On CT, the IHS I had drawn in is definitely not forming now. The right shoulder would be ridiculously large. That has me leaning towards seeing a retest of this low. Doesn't necessarily have to happen, but I'm looking for a bottoming pattern here or a continuation downwards. Looking at lumber, double bottom has broken up with a target in the 583 area. Weak 6-minute sell signal fixed, but I'm not seeing anything to suggest that won't make target. CW, this is dropping down from the possible double bottom setup, which I liked, but it looks like we are resolving down instead. So if that's the case, we may be heading for a retest of this low here in about the 508 area. Looking at corn, this is looking less like a bullish consolidation and more like a retest of this low and possible lower low. We shall see. Soy, we've got a head and shoulders, which is broken down here with the target in the 1058.75 area. 60-minute buy signal is fixed, and we will see if we've got a little opportunity to rally back up here, but I quite like the odds of this making target. This could get knocked off course by China news if the Chinese actually do something amazing, like actually buy the soy that they apparently agreed to buy. So far, they've only bought 2 million tons of the 12 million tons that was agreed. ZL, no current positive divergence here. It's looking like we're coming back in for a retest this low. We have made we're close to making a lower low under this low here in the 49.8 area. Once we've done that, the obvious target will be a retest of this low here in the 48.6 area. Looking at live cattle, seeing a little bit of waning momentum here. 60-minute sell signal is fixed and didn't quite fail on the last move up, so it's still valid. Could be looking at a larger retracement here. Lean hogs, we've got no current divergence, and we've broken up from a large double bottom with a target in the 88.65 to 90.2 area. All right, let's have a look at questions, of which we have none. Okay, I'm wondering about a setup here, particularly looking at the at what's happening on crypto as well. I'm wondering whether we are going to see more retracement today. Seen a nice rally so far. We do not need to see more retracement. Overall, I'm still expecting to see new all-time highs on SPX and NQ, but I think the market is uncertain, and I think if we weren't in the pre-Christmas period, I think we might actually be dropping still. We will see how it goes this week. All right, everyone, take care, and I'll catch everyone tomorrow morning. Cheers.